Are you all right, Jonathan?
Lord Redgrave has just ordered me to turn Aloysius Dawson, to make him my progeny.
I see. And how do you feel about this?
I won't do it. The very thought of it makes me sick.
The real question here is, why has his lordship given you this task?
Do you think it's some sort of trap?
Do you really want to know what I think about this?
I do, yes.
To make an immortal of a soulless blackguard like Aloysius Dawson will only lead to a disaster for London. The man is already dead inside.
Should I refuse? Perhaps politely suggest that Lord Redgrave turn the man into a vampire himself.
Don't you dare, my dear. According to what I've recently discovered, his lordship could kill you for even broaching the subject.
Really? Why?
I've recently found proof that the Earl of Bristol is of lesser lineage and only capable of creating skulls.
Please tell me more about your recent investigation.
As long as you lower your voice.
What would you have me do about Dawson?
The man is dangerous. Did you know he plans to build a wall to separate the healthy rich from the sickly poor? Do not make him your progeny.
What would you do?
The man's dying already. Let the reaper harvest the rotten fruit that is his soul.
Are you sure your information about Redgrave is correct? He says he's the progeny of the great knight William Marshall, who lived some 9 centuries ago.
That's a lie. Lord Redgrave is unable to create anything but skulls, if the poor souls survive at all.
How can you be sure the information was correct?
I made the acquaintance of a most interesting informer while investigating your maker, from whom I learned the truth about Lord Redgrave.
Why so vindictive? You suddenly sound like you're angry.
Forgive me, Jonathan. I hate myself for it, but I feel such pride in my discovery. I'm afraid I just can't help it.
Which is?
He did serve William Marshall. And yes, the blood he covets as a token does truly belong to that legendary knight. But he was never his progeny. His lineage is not so noble.
What would happen if I made Dawson an Ekon like myself?
You would add a powerful immortal into a suffering world. An immortal who already craves authority.
Maybe I could teach him control, like you taught me. Lead him down the right path.
Mr. Dawson spent his life searching for a way to cheat death. I'm sure he has spent decades dreaming of how he'd spend eternity as a tyrant.
Goodbye for now, Elizabeth.
Goodbye, my dear. Please, be careful.
It looks like vampires have to obey Mendel's laws when producing progeny. Powers pass from one generation to another. That's why Dawson wants me to sire him.
Women's right to vote is only the first step.
I remember Sunday walks in the park.
Yes, Mr. Jonathan?
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Not much, sir. Mr. Dawson's house used to be a good house, with many servants. I heard he fired them all recently.
I found an old letter written by my father and addressed to me. Do you know anything about it, Avery?
Your father wanted me to give you this letter for your 35th birthday, but you left for the war, and the letter remained in his office until tonight.
I realize now you knew my father better than I did. Do you know why he left, Avery? Did he ever speak to you about his departure?
No, sir. Mr. Reid was not exactly forthcoming. Perhaps this letter will give you the information you require.
Goodbye, Avery. Please watch over my mother until I return.
Of course, Mr. Jonathan. But please return as soon as possible. If you wish to stay tonight, your room is ready, Mr. Jonathan.
Watch it! It's a killer! Eat this! Stupid beast! Want some of this?
He's too fast! Shit, that thing!
Put an end to you! Filthy fucking beast! You leeches need killing!
This is Braille. I need someone who can read this. A restaurant where the guests are blindfolded before being seated. Intriguing.
It's locked, all right.
I should find another way to get into the neighborhood. I think this passage could lead me close to Aloysius Dawson's mansion.
Listen, you cannot win this! Show me your power, newborn! Die, new. Give me your blood!
Louise's father was determined to find and save her. I can't believe I'm doing this. It's locked. I have this thirst for blood.
Disgusting arsehole!
Your prey is mine now!
I'll never be alright! How long are you gonna keep me locked here?
Don't you know better?
Let me go, you bastard!
Miss Teasdale, are you all right?
How do you know my name? Who are you?
My name is Dr. Reid. I managed to track you down thanks to your father.
So my father really was looking after me. This man, this vampire told me my father was dead. Is it true?
I'm afraid so, miss. I'm so sorry for your loss. But you are free to go, as your abductor is no more.
I suppose my jailer also killed my father, didn't he?
Thankfully, he did not search your father's corpse, where I found his notes describing where he might find you. You should read them.
I must find my father's body. He deserves a proper burial. My father always said, even those few who offer help always want something in return. And he was right.
Good evening, Miss Price. I'm Dr. Reid. Do you remember me?
Dr. Reid? Yes, of course. You are the doctor who healed me and my mum. Good evening, Dr. Reid.
Good to see you too, Carol. Are you all right?
Oh, yes. I did not hurt myself recently. I know how to take care of myself now. I'm almost a grown-up.
Have you ever met the famous Aloysius Dawson?
Yes. A very strange man. Not very nice.
What do you mean?
He said he was ready to pay good money for rare books, and then laughed at what we showed him.
Goodbye, Carol.
Good morning. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Miss Price. How are you tonight?
Dr. Reid, I didn't know you had returned from the war. I had a new doctor when you left, but he's not as kind as you.
Always glad to see a former patient in good condition. It's been a long time.
Too long indeed. And as a token of my appreciation, I'll grant you the best price if you fancy buying anything from my humble shop.
Do you know Aloysius Dawson?
Everybody knows him. He's only been to my shop once, though, looking for rare books and other intriguing antiques.
Did he buy something from you?
No, he left quickly. He almost laughed at my goods. Mr. Dawson may be a rich man, but you can't buy good manners.
But isn't Aloysius Dawson known for his philanthropy?
That was before his brother Robert died in an aeroplane crash. Since then, the remaining twin has turned into a heartless tycoon.
May I look at your goods, Miss Price?
It's always a pleasure to have you here, Dr. Reid. Take all the time you need. I hope you can stay a little longer this time.
Good morning. Good evening, sir.
It's locked, all right.
Jonathan Reid. At last we meet. The cards warned me you would visit tonight.
I beg your pardon, sir. Do I know you?
Of course you do. Our mutual friend, Dr. Swansea, can't speak highly enough of you. My name is Usher. Usher Talltree.
You are the leader of the Brotherhood, are you not?
Primate of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, to be precise. I'm really glad we met tonight. I love it when the cards tell me a truth.
The cards told you to expect me.
Yes, they tell me everything. They told me that you struggle hard not to take too many lives.
Is there anything you could tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Aloysius Dawson. Yes, of course. We met on several occasions. With time, he got deeper and deeper into the occult.
He's not the only one. It's been quite the fashion for several decades. The Golden Dawn, for instance, is just one example.
True. Aloysius was a member of the Golden Dawn until 1900. Then his thirst for dark knowledge grew. I'm talking forbidden texts, readings which blackened his heart.
Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. Perhaps London will survive the epidemic, but I see terrible trials awaiting
It's locked.
in the future.
Sometimes it's difficult to remember why we...
Good evening, sir. I am Dr. Jonathan Reid. Do you need my help?
Yes, please. Would you be kind enough to tell me what the time is?
That's all you need to know.
Well, is it not important to know? As important as where you are? Or who you are?
I suppose you're right. And who are you then, sir?
I am Agamemnon Baker. Like my brother, I think we need to leave this city immediately. And my brother and I rarely agree on anything.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
You should ask that question to my brother instead. Personally, I've not seen Aloysius for many years.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Baker. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. Can I be of assistance?
Dr. Reid? Dr. Reid?
Is there anything wrong?
No, it's just... your name sounds familiar. And your face. Have we met before?
I think I would remember. So I suppose the answer is no.
That's odd. I'm certain I've already heard of you. My name is Pericles Baker. Does that mean anything to you?
I'm afraid not, sir. But it's a pleasure to meet you anyway.
The pleasure is mine, I guess. I only wish I could remember when it was that we met.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
I've heard this is a man who has searched for his place in the world for a long time. I hope he found it.
Goodbye, Mr. Baker. I cannot enter. Dawson's mansion. Here I am at last. But the question remains, am I ready to make a dying man my progeny?
Finally, you're here, Dr. Reid. What took you so long?
I had to pass several of your barricades and outposts to access your mansion, sir.
Death, pestilence surround us, and time is against me.
I see you've gathered some of the most expensive, albeit experimental, blood transfusion equipment available. All this could be so useful in a hospital.
Yes. Since Lord Redgrave sent me a doctor to perform my conversion, I thought you might find some of these devices useful.
Most thoughtful. But tonight I'm not here as a physician.
But I feel reassured that a specialist such as yourself would help me to escape the Reaper.
Very well. But before I proceed, I have a few questions for you.
If you must, but be quick, for I don't have much time left in this life.
First of all, I need to be sure that you know exactly what is going to happen to you, sir.
I can assure you I'm as informed as any man can be. I have planned for this moment, Dr. Reid. Planned very carefully.
Believe me, there is a huge difference between reading about vampires and waking up as one. I learned that myself the hard way.
Oh my God, man, stop your whining. I don't have time for your pointless jibber-jabber.
I will become your maker. Do you understand what that means?
Well, I certainly won't consider you my liege, or some such drivel. You can be assured of that.
You'll need to feed on warm blood. Blood from mortals. How do you feel about that?
I'm rich, Dr. Reid, and powerful. I'm sure I'll be able to acquire all the blood I need without ever having to sully my own hands.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
What I do know is that I'll crush anyone or anything that would dare to oppose me.
Let's move on then.
Please, I'm cold and tired. I feel my life waning with every moment.
But first, before you embrace immortality, what would you do with such a gift?
That's a rather impertinent question, Dr. Reid, and I will do as I please.
Answer me all the same. What will your first action be as an immortal?
To save London. I will finance the most efficient quarantine ever seen. I will build a wall that will separate the sick boroughs from the healthy ones.
Who gave you the right to decide the fate of thousands of people?
My money. My money and my pending immortality gives me the needed authority, Doctor. I'm a businessman. I'm used to tough decisions.
You really plan to build a quarantine wall across London?
Yes. It will be tall and strong, separating the wheat from the chaff.
By doing so, you will also create 2 separate prisons.
Come, sir. An eminent doctor like yourself knows that such radical measures have proved efficient in the past.
Let me guess. You mean to isolate the rich from the poor?
This is a desperate measure for desperate times. England must prevail, Doctor, no matter the cost.
Quarantine is not a bad idea, medically speaking. But I'm convinced this epidemic will not be contained by mere walls.
As long as the right people are on the right side of the wall, that's all that matters.
But you can't guarantee infection will not spread. Just one contagious carrier would be enough to create an apocalypse.
The apocalypse is already knocking at the gate. We must be strong now.
What if a new outbreak happens inside your walls? You'll have created a giant trap.
That won't happen. As long as we dispose of anyone that is contaminated as soon as they are spotted.
I've heard enough. It's time to proceed.
At last! All right, do what you have to do. If it hurts, so be it. I've been preparing such a long time for this.
Listen to me, Aloysius Dawson. You will forget your fear of dying, for it has poisoned your mind and made you bitter and ruthless since the death of your twin brother.
You don't understand. Death is oblivion, the eternal void.
I know there's nothing there.
I saw it in Robert's empty eyes. I saw myself in that coffin.
Death is painful for those who remain, not for those who have passed. All that occult gibberish you filled your head with has made you forget this simple truth.
No! Death will not claim me. I have the power and the money. I've acquired the arcane knowledge needed. I believe there is magic, there are dark forces. You will provide me my extension.
Your ignorance makes you a fool. You have no idea. Look at me. Hunted like a beast, my family lost, cursed. I have not escaped death, I have become it.
No, there must be a way. I don't want to go like my brother did.
I have money, lots of money.
Money won't ease your mind. I know you used to be a good and generous man, so I offer you the gift of peace, Aloysius. The tranquility of a true death.
I accept your offer, and I understand. No more fear, I will die a man of dignity, and a man at peace.